everyone, and thank you for coming to Dale Chanel's 48th World, where we do recaps, reviews on soap operas or reality shows, and I do shopping hauls now, reviewing products that I basically buy for myself or my family members or my puppies. But anyway, I watch the sitcom Good Times. I know y'all know about it, the James Evans family from Chicago in the ghetto, and they're always trying to keep their head above water, as well as always staying in the same place, but they are happy about it because they have family, and family is everything to them. So basically, I always watch this show on Saturday mornings up to the middle part of the afternoon, and I thought this would be a good show to try to review on just Saturdays. Junior calling me now. Ooh, I had to call him back. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. And I always told my daughter, because she always asked me, why do you look at that show? That show is too old, this, that, and that. I said, honey, sometimes I feel like we still back in these times. We've never really grown too far from them. But, you know, I just like the family dynamics of how James always tried to keep his family together, no matter what was what. And it was always a family effort, or whoever needed something in their family circle, and how they respected and loved one of their neighbors named Valona. They treated her just like family, so it was nothing they wouldn't do for one another, which is totally a different atmosphere in today's time. You know, you have more people sitting there trying to put you under and keep you under, like the old adage, the crab mentality. You know, they won't let one black get up without trying to pull them down. So, and it might work that way in other races as well, but I can only speak for my kind or my race that I was born into. But I love this show. I really do. And like I said, it's only because of the family dynamics and, you know, having a mother and a father in the family. It's not like singleness units going on and stuff. Even though they do portray it with Valona when she adopts a child, which is Penny, which is, we know, Janet Jackson. But I just wanted to see how many people would like me doing this video each Saturday, because that's the only time I would do it, is on Saturday afternoons, and release it for something for you to gravitate to when you're at home and you're not really doing anything and you just want to hear some narration on a old but goodie show. It's almost like a throwback moment. So if I get enough people gravitating to this series of me, you know, picking different episodes I want to talk about that I found to be a good show, that I always remembered from me being young back in the day, because this show aired in 1974, and I of course watched it from when I was a little girl all the way up to I'm 48 years old now, so you know that's been a long span. And you can also buy the series online at Amazon. I know you can go in Best Buy, and sometimes Sam Club have them as well if you have a Sam's in your area. I don't know about Walmart having a series, but I know Best Buy, I've seen it in there, and I've seen some series, I couldn't remember what it was, in Sam's Club. So if you're an advocate, fan, or viewer of the Good Time series, then let me know. Put some comments in my little section, and I'll see if I want to continue to do that, because I'm not really going to do it and share it with you all on my perspectives and stuff if you really don't gravitate to it. It'll just be my personal thing that I do on Saturdays when I'm at home and I'm not out in the street doing stuff for myself and my family. But this episode is it comes from season 2, episode 3. Like I said, it aired in 1974. It's JJ Becomes a Man. JJ is in jail accused of robbery, and his family can't afford to pay the bail. Now, it was a 2-part series. The first part, as far as recapping off, it was JJ's birthday, 18th birthday, and he wanted these set of art supplies with the monogram luggage bag to put his supplies in. You know, he's trying to step his game up with, you know, having his art supplies with his initials on it and his carrying case when he wants to take his portfolio and show it off to different marketing, advertising people, in case, you know, when it's time for him to get a job or just other little gigs around the little ghetto. But anyway, he had a birthday party. His father, James, was, you know, always struggling to make ends meet, always coming up on the latter end of the stick when it comes to promotions and better jobs to kind of uplift them out of the ghetto and more into a suburban life where you're in the middle class section. Of course, you know, watching the whole series, he failed to do that, and they end up getting out of the ghetto, basically, after Jane's passing, and Thelma married some, uh, what do you call it, football player, Keith, and, you know, that he had to stay in the ghetto with them for quite some time because JJ made him trip over himself in his wedding, and he had to do some rehabilitation work getting his leg back together, which he finally did. And they actually did move out the ghetto, but then the series ended, so we didn't really see what was what and how they fared and this and that and the other, you know. So, but with this particular scene, they didn't get a chance to get JJ's his art supplies like his father James wanted him to have for his 18th birthday, which was a very decent birthday present, and it showed that he had, you know, pretty much got on a stable level of supplying some of the kids' wants and stuff. So, but the only reason why he didn't get it, he had missed one payment way back when, I think when work was really slow for him, and they put it in a computer system, and when they totaled it up for him getting finance with the shop that he wanted to get his son's art supplies, they put him as a bad credit risk after, you know, for that one incident that they brought up, that they, you know, I guess they were starting to put all your creditor information on you and how you paid your bills back, you know, way back when. So, you know, that credit history thing had been out since the 70s. So as you can see, we're very familiar with credit scoring and applying for credit and paying your bills on time and how it can negatively affect you when you're trying to seek services on financing. So it really hurt him being a man. You know, it kind of demasculated him because, I mean, my goodness, some art supplies, he always paid his bills, always kept a job, always tried to provide for his family, but he just fell on hard times where he couldn't make, you know, one payment. You know, I could see it was a series of payments, but they just had him as one. So, you know, it's just that old adage, you know, they just do black people any kind of way. But it really hurt his feelings, and then he came home and told his wife about the scenario and all this, and well, first he got approved. Well, they let him put it on layaway because it was just like one of them mom and pop stores. But they didn't let James know that they were going to an updated computer system. So he already thought he had the surprise gift for JJ. But when he told Walona to go down there and pick the gift up, you know, for the celebration they were going to have that night for him, she came back and, you know, it was like, okay, what happened to the surprise? Then she told him that they had moved to a computer system thing, and when they had to redo his thing over, you know, they had something on his credit from way back when, and they could not give him the art supply set he had initially picked out for his son maybe a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. And so James thought he was gonna go down there and raise hell with them and gonna make a difference. And pretty much that was the part one. The part two that I'm covering here, that I'm talking about, was the after effect. So we move on from part one, we go to part two. James come back with the same really conclusion that he couldn't get it because of what Valona had told him. And he initially heard from her, and then he had to go down there and hear it from himself. So they all came up with a brilliant idea of just buying him a sweater. And of course that pissed James off because, you know, he had something that cost almost $100. And back in the day, I guess that was really worth some money. I guess that would be considered $1,000 or $2,000 for us in this time of living that we're in, our age. And he just thought it was a piss poor present compared to the one he wanted to get from the family to JJ, since it was his 18th birthday. And he was looking for it. He was making mention of it because that's what he wanted. And so the whole thing had transpired the Florida had gave somebody some money, I forgot, to go get him a sweater for his birthday. And of course, Michael had bought him a Black History book, and Thelma had bought him his sister a hat, and Valona had brought him the same color material of his hat, which they didn't know that they did, but they kind of knew JJ's color schemes and the kind of wardrobe or apparel he likes to wear. So they were very in sync with that. So at the birthday party, he was like, okay, well, I got the cake, I got my present. Where's a real big present? He's just going all over the apartment looking for things and that and of that nature. And they was like, son, we don't have no art supplies. He said, stop lying to me. I know y'all was supposed to do this, that, and that. And yeah, y'all have my supplies. And then they really had to hold that boy down and tell him, look, boy, we had this came up, this was said, this was done, and this is the end result. You ended up with a sweater. So after JJ finally figured out that, hey, it is no present, no art supplies, none of that. He just got apparel to wear, pretty much, and a nice birthday dinner and a cake. And he had his family member with, one outside family member, which they really considered a family member of the, family, which was Walona. So he just made up an excuse, but it was just like a teenager or a young adult. You're going to choose a female or a male of your little social gathering. You got to go and be with them. It makes you feel better, because you are coming of age and you want to have that other type of relationship other than your family members doting on you and, wanting to be with you. So he had a date with Henrietta, and they just thought it was conveniently brought up after they didn't have his birthday present that he wanted, but it really wasn't. He just one of those kind of guys. He knows how to pick up the pieces when he's let down on a particular issue, but he know his family love him. They would have gotten it if that was the case. But, hey, he just said, no, it ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm fine. I'm this, that, and other. So we move from that scene. They clear the house out. Everything gets back to normal. He's out on his date, or they're thinking he's out on his date. And the mother and father are dancing and carrying on. And evidently they don't hear a knock at the door, but it's a concerned family friend that everybody know or whatever. They had saw somebody that fits JJ's description that got loaded up in a police car, and they took him to jail. So they were coming to letting the family members know. So Thelma took that information. She interrupted her parents when they were dating. Well, not dating, but dancing. And she was saying, hey, so-and-so had came up to the place. Y'all didn't hear me, of course, because I answered the door. And he said somebody had, the police thought that he had robbed the liquor store, and he's in jail. So pretty much that set the tone for this particular episode that I'm going into, which was, JJ goes to jail. And basically what had happened was they all go down to the jailhouse to see what is really going on. You have James in Florida at the police station's desk, and of course they're all talking at one time, and James telling him to cool it, and then he said let him handle it. So he goes in trying to talk, but then again Florida butts in, and she's giving all the information that her husband should have given, because he's considered the head of the household, and he's a senior. So it was just a hot mess. He kept telling her to hush, let him handle it, and she said, okay, James, you're right, you the man, you go ahead. Once he goes to open up his mouth again, she comes back with said issues. So you like, forget it. Then Thelma chimes in, then Michael chimes in, and so it just makes a big old to do about nothing, because they still have their rules and their regulations. So that was just pretty much it. So JJ and the officers, the other clip goes to where they're harassing him. They're reading him his Miranda rights, and JJ is listening to them as fast as he's talking, but he's not getting any of it. Once the man finished, he said, oh, can you repeat that? So they pretty much like, stop playing. Both of them are sitting on opposite sides of him. One saying something, he don't answer. The other one is saying something. It's almost like good cop, bad cop type of scenario. They didn't have a room where, I guess that you could, like, what do you call it, special victims, how you can see them being interviewed, and maybe the family could see them as well. But it was nothing like that. They just had them in a room. They would have seats. He had seats, and they were just going back and forth. They ain't having like sitting around the table and this and that. So they was trying to make him say stuff, but he was handling it real cool because he really didn't do anything, and he wasn't that savvy, or I wouldn't say educated enough to try to play their game. He was just being openly and honest, brutally honest. And he was like, no, y'all got the wrong person. It wasn't me. I only ran from the store because I was trying to get on my date with Henrietta. And if y'all saw how she looked, y'all have been rushing out of there too. But they were saying no. The man at the store said you fit the description. You were tall, black. I don't forgot what else he had said. Let's see. Tall, black. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta go back. I think I'm going too fast in my notes. But anyway, oh yeah, he was tall, black, skinny, and young. That was the profile they had, and that the person that actually stole the money with that profile, they took $85. He said, shoot, if I had $85, I would have flew Henrietta to me, or I would have flew to her, or something to that degree. And that, made everybody laugh and this, that, and the other. So, they're basically still interrogating him. Then we go back to the scene with James and Florida, and they're still talking to the people, or the police officer at the desk, and they're saying, well, he's being held on $5,000 worth of bond. Okay, that doesn't do any good. They all light up, like tearing into the officer, like, where they gonna get the money from, this, that's ridiculous. And of course, Michael, with his black power, he goes on to say this, that, and the other, which infuriates things a little worse. And then he said, no, y'all don't have to pay 10%, like y'all stupid or something. It's only 10%, so we're talking about $500. So James pretty much like still getting his ass and be like, well, hey, why do you think we're gonna get $500 from? We couldn't get $5,000. What makes you think we're gonna get $500? And the cop pretty much walks off from them to let them, decide what they're gonna do whenever they're gonna do it, but it ain't have nothing to do with him. He just basically gave, them the information. So we go to Florida and James, and they're at this little water cooler trying to talk things out. And James is saying, he's thinking he could borrow money from these set of folks that he named. And then Florida kind of be sarcastic, and she said, okay, that's get us $50. What about the $450 extra that we need? And so they're going on still talking. And then what Lona said, y'all, I'm a part of the family. I want to support this, that, and the other. And then they's like, okay, we forgot about you, but yeah, what kind of money you got? So she gives up, she stands up to him and tries to say what she got in her cookie jar or emergency fund, what she got in her savings account, what she got in her checking account. All of them come up zero. And then she was so ashamed, she wished she never got her butt up saying nothing, because she had nothing to give. So like pretty much sit your ass down and be quiet, like that. So basically that what's happened. So while they're still, all of them trying to figure out things, JJ comes in, or in their area, as they're trying to take him to the lockup room, but they had to go in that particular vicinity. And everybody's looking at him saying that he's okay, and they, gravitating towards him. And he was telling his parents that he did not do the crime that they're confessing him of. And then he lifted up his hands, and one of the hands came out the little handcuffs that they had him in. So the officers had to put him back in and tighten up a little tighter for him. But they knew they had the wrong kid, but this is how they want to play this script. So basically they were trying to say, we're not going anywhere. We got the United Front going. We know you didn't do it. We're going to get you out of there. And this, that, and the other. So he feels, he felt real good that he got a chance to see him. They kind of felt relieved that they saw him and he wasn't in no type of distress or beat up or anything of that nature. So they took him to the holding cell where he was being held overnight. And then James said, okay, well, we need to go home and then, try to get some rest and then come back in the morning, because nothing they could pretty much do. He's being held overnight. So, of course, Florida be like, I ain't going nowhere. As long as he here, I'm here. This, that, and the other. So James knew he was not going to be able to get his wife out of that police station. So he told Valona to pretty much take the kids home, which was Thelma and Michael. So she agreed. Of course, Michael just being his what do you call it, Million Man March type of militant. He like, I ain't going nowhere. The women need to go home, and we gonna stay here together, Dad. And pleased to, but James picked him up to where he could make eye contact with him and said, "What did you say you gonna do?" And then he was like, "I'm going home with Valona while you and Mama stay here." And so that was cute. See, and he put him back down. He said, "Yeah, I thought that's what you said." So he also tells Thelma before she leaves to go home with Walona that go by the messenger service that JJ had just got hired for. Let them know something other than the truth about JJ's situation, and to let them know he'll be in a couple of days. And she said, "Okay, I'll do that first thing in the morning." He said, "Make sure you do that now." So, of course, them gonna do what her dad tells her to do because she's that kind of kid. So they all go home. We go to a commercial. And then, of course, it's the next day. You have JJ and this prisoner that he's in the jail cell with. They finally get their morning meal. And, of course, it's what they're being served is either oatmeal or grits. I'm not sure. But JJ is, really wanting to eat because, he's hungry. It's been a whole 24 hours. So when he goes to eat, the man that's with him is like this big burly type muscular man, that you don't really want to mess with. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm hungry too, but this ain't enough." And then JJ look at his food like, okay, he's saying it because, and then, he's getting kind of rowdy again. So JJ just gone and give it to him. He said, "Good." And so he just being greedy. I like, JJ, knock him in the head or something, honey, because you need your food too. But, like I said, he was scared, so he gave the man his food. Then he going to be hollering at the guard, talking about, "They ain't give me no napkin." I like, stab that man. Do something to him. Get in a fight with him. Show him you ain't no punk. But, he just got on my nerves, so it scared him, so he gave him his hat. So he just, wiped his head, hands off with his hat. And he threw it on the floor. And I'm like, oh, JJ. Anyway, so we move from that scene. We go to James, Florida, and some woman. All three of them are on a bench. And you could tell they slept in the upright position, waving between each other because of sleep. Now I'm sure the other woman just came there because James and Florida had been there overnight. So James was having a rough time. He was sleeping between the women, and he was curling up on his wife, and then she kind of like knocked him out the way, and so he was curling up on this other woman that was a total stranger. He was asleep. He didn't know what he was doing, but he was making like he was, feeling on his wife and stuff like that. And then Florida finally wake up and see what he's doing, and she shakes him and hollers out his name, and then he wakes up, and then he sees that he pretty much was feeling on the wrong woman. And of course, the woman's getting all, in her feelings and this, that, and that. But to me, she looked like she kind of liked it. Because if you didn't like it, you could have woke him up yourself. You didn't have to wait till Florida had, said James and this, that, and the other. Then she talking about being molested in the, what do you call it, jailhouse. And, I'm like, I know, I wanted to say something too. If I was a man, I would have cussed her ass out too, because she ain't saying that when I was rubbing on her. But anyway, she was a little freak herself. Well, anyway, we move on from there. We go to Michael and Walona showing back up at the police station, letting them know they was okay, and that she was letting James know that Thelma went out to see the messenger service to let them know that JJ wouldn't be in for a couple of days, whatever she thought up, but tell them something good, but don't tell them the truth. And she's checking for follow-up on James Jr., which is JJ, and they don't have anything going on. And then this long shark appears because he's overheard their dilemma. He's trying to make, some preparations where they can get the money to get their son out. And technically, he's not really supposed to be in there anyway, soliciting for business, because what he was charging was totally outrageous. And anyway, he comes and asks them, do they need assistance and this, that, and that. And there's James asking him how much he's charging or whatever. And he said 20% interest. And James like, okay, that's gonna cost a lot, but okay, let me consider it. That's what's going on in his mind. And then the loan shark said that's a week. And then that James going to say, are you sick? It's almost like, you don't have that kind of money to pay. Yeah, he was sick. But anyway, we move from there. We go to Florida and James. They're discussing, about the loan. Florida saying she cannot have her son, and she didn't want to spend no more time down in this jail. She know he didn't do it, this, that, and the other. So she's pretty much begging him to get the money from the loan shark man or make a deal. Then the detective that was working on JJ's case, he comes out and informs, see what's going on. He tell the loan shark to get the hell out of there. Don't be coming around here no more with that kind of business. So the loan shark leaves and this, that, and the other, and James goes into saying, how's the son doing? And then he said, oh, it's fine. He said, well, we trying to get the money for our son, but you just blew our only chance. He said, you don't need him anyway. We already found the person that did the actual crime, and he had the gun and everything. So we're working out all the formalities and on trying to release your son. So everybody is pretty much, on one level. They're cheering and they're excited that he's gonna be released, so everything can kind of go back to normal. And then Thelma is at the messenger place trying to explain to the lady that JJ is incapacitated at the time. He's sick, flu, whatever she thought of. She kind of slipped a little bit and saying he was in jail instead of saying he was in the hospital or this, that, and the other. So the lady pretty much knows she was bullshitting the whole time, and that I guess the stereotype they have that was pasted on JJ, in a sense, or stamped on him being a young black male, is that he got in trouble and he's in jail for the crime or whatnot. So it is what it is. We know he loses his job. They didn't want that kind, but the only way they could have found out is through the computer system, and that is awareness of the whole moral of the story, that even if you could be a good person, do everything, you make one mistake, like not paying a bill on time, and it could pretty much press upon you not getting the kind of credit that you deserve, and having to have to pay larger interest rates than the other person who had no offense on them, and then keeping you from getting a job because you're in jail or you have a criminal record on you. And with them stealing something such of that magnitude of money, which is not nothing here in these times, but back then it probably was a wealth of money. And that was like a felony. So of course that was going to be stamped on his credit rating, on his credit score, and everything about him when they pull up his social security number is he has a felony record for stealing or burglary or whatever. But they have to go back in the system and correct it. But at this time, it's global. This is on him. This is stapled on him until somebody goes in and corrects it. And we know how the system flows when it comes to minorities. So that was pretty much it with that whole episode. And then, pretty much, like I said, Velma finally comes, and she's glad that she sees her brother's not going to be prosecuted. But the end story was, without even her telling JJ, he knew by her demeanor he lost his job, and it was because they had found out through the computer system, is what they're alluding us to believe, because we know Thelma didn't give him up. That they punched in his social security number, and it has all on him, felony. He committed a crime. But also, when they found the guy that called themselves doing it, he was this short black guy. He was fat, black, short, and he had the gun, which they had said was the winning thing to let JJ go. But when they had arrested him, and had said he fitted the crime from what the store owner had said, they said it was a tall, skinny black guy, that had a face mask. So how did you get it from tall, skinny, and black to fat, short, and black? That's what they were saying about stereotyping and basically putting black men in jail, with false information, because that totally was a whole different set of what do you call it? Descriptions of the person that you're trying to seek out. So if you were looking for a tall, skinny black guy, how did you end up with a fat, short black guy as being the corporate? So I don't know, it's just racism written all over the storyline, but it is what it is when it comes to minorities, and we face it on a daily basis. Nothing's really gotten fair with the discrimination and the playing field when it comes to jobs, because they're still bringing out people going undercover and just exposing people, basically being racist for no apparent reason. So it is what it is. But that was a good episode. Again, that was season 2, episode 3, aired in 1974, and it was titled JJ Becomes a Man. Like I said, I will only be doing these reality shows with good times on Saturdays. I will probably try to release one by 2 or 3 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, which is my time zone. But if I don't get enough people to gravitate to it, then I won't put it out. I'll just continue to enjoy it for myself on Saturdays when I'm at home and doing nothing. But y'all, that's all I had. I want to introduce you all to a throwback moment of Good Times. It's still airing. It's still in syndication. I don't even know if they had those laws back then where they got paid revenue. I don't think they were, because this was something with syndication coming up in the latter part of the 80s and throughout the 90s and, at the present day. So that was bad if they're not, and they couldn't negotiate a contract to definitely get paid, because it definitely is being shown all the time. What channel, Chauncey? On TV1. Okay. So that is what it is. Y'all have a beautiful ending of your Mother's Day. I had a good day with my family, my daughter. Very pleasant, very peaceful. Food was good. Conversation was good. Family's always good. And y'all have many blessings bestowed upon y'all to today, tomorrow, and into the future. Okay, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.